to actualize that potential. The sperm carries the charge that actualizes the potential within the egg. The mother, once that happens, she becomes pregnant. Some women just know they're pregnant. They don't have to, what do you call it, before any doctors is like, I'm pregnant. After they get up from the man, they say, oh Lord, I know I'm pregnant. I just know I'm pregnant. That is what women are missing today. And what happens now, after the egg does meet the sperm, her body now is on alert, because as soon as that happens, the governor of the body, which is the hypothalamus, begins setting out signals. Okay, this is going to be this is going to be the incubator for a new life. All cells stand to attention, alert. We are about to be changing the format. Immediately her brain changes, her body changes, her energy, her aura, all the color, everything changes. Her blood is under a whole new one. Immediately the body starts getting rid of stuff, starts ejecting shit. That's why she starts getting sick. And they start to try to stop that. That's ridiculous. Yeah. The sickness is to cleanse the body of all of the waste and poisonous material that would interfere with that. As soon as that happens and she's clear, the immediate thing is that your body wants to lose weight. Immediately they say, well, I'm losing weight. The doctor says, well, eat. No, you're not supposed to eat like that. Pregnancy is not a sickness. So when she's becoming pregnant, she starts losing weight. That's because the body is now streamlining itself of all the garbage so that it will be more efficient for the life form. And the baby does not become this 8 to 9, 10-pound baby like a watermelon going through the eye of a needle, which is sick. It's crazy. You ain't supposed to be like that. A baby is supposed to be born at about 5 pounds, no more, no less. So it can be easy in the transition out of the vaginal canal. After that, you put it on the breast, it grows within a week period of time. It's 10 pounds to make it easier on the woman. But the charge that is used creates the cycle for it, and then the body, the mother, the area there, it's so powerful, so beautiful. When that egg and that sperm meet, there is a nuclear fission and then fusion. The egg shuts down and a nuclear explosion takes place inside there. That's why they can't pinpoint what's happening inside the egg. They don't know what happened. It just shuts down and there's no more pictures. A huge micro-universal or microcosmic explosion takes place. And that is the black hole that is created within the woman's womb that begins to start pulling all of the elementals in her body to that point to create that life. It begins to take her light. That's when a woman is pregnant, she has a baby, she has a hole in her aura for a while. Because being pregnant and having a baby is actually, metaphysically, the bestowing of light. So, I hope I answered your question with all of that stuff, with the desires. Any other question? Yes?
Just one thing. Following up on his question of the 13 energy.
Oh, that's where we were at, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
right. I just want to get right.
That because I wasn't earlier. I didn't really hear. I had to leave out for me.
Right.
But did you tie that in with the frequency of the Earth and what that's actually changing from like the 8? Right. Going to the 13?
Yeah, what have we
Fibonacci sequence? Or?
Yeah, well, the Fibonacci sequence, just to let everybody know, if you look at the plant and the flower and how it grows in spirals based on certain numbers. And the ancestors already knew this, but there was an Italian botanist who actually understood that every leaf, as it began to grow, grew in certain at certain periods, and it grew certain amounts of leaves during certain periods of time. Well, in the Fibonacci scale, the next number is the 13th, which is the harmonic to the growth of consciousness on this planet. But we have more subtle, dimensional interplay. And the plant itself, being certain plants have that Fibonacci spiral around it. But certain plants don't, because certain plants, remember, were transplanted from other planets. And they take a whole other set of information to grow them out. But our sequence has to go through the intricacies of all the other numbers. And we already took part in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, those master numbers. And the 13th, the 12th and the 13th, now that we're moving out, that harmonic can only happen when we have pulled in all of the energies of the 12 cell salts balanced in our bodies, like I said yesterday. These 12 components become the light stations, the chemical and the inorganic light stations for the triangulation of certain light frequencies, so that then it creates a vortex that begins to lift our energies. It begins to refine and take away all of the heavier components in our molecules, all of the heavier components in our physicality. And we begin to lose that interest in all of the things that we think we need to pursue. Once the chemistry in the body has changed, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, once you change the chemistry in your body, then it's an easy thing for that light code to find you. If you're constantly in the need of getting your bling bling on and doing all these things, then you are pulling another kind of coarse energy to that. It's about self-aggrandizement. It's about you feeling that it's you that's the center of everything, and that the physical possession is all that there is. Once you're outside of that, the chemistry in your brain begins to change. You care less about what it is that you do to self-aggrandize, and more about what it is that's happening with the collective. You lose the sense of the individual and you become more part of the collective. Once that happens, you're into the 13th. The need for you to aggrandize the flesh keeps you in the lower harmonic numbers, and maybe even downgrades your incarnational cycle potential. But the more you are serving, and that's the word that helps to change the chemistry in your brain, service to others. There are service to other energies in certain people who have, and there's service to self motherfuckers that is out there. Service to self motherfuckers is the one that want to lock you down because they want you to serve them. But service to others are the ones that are now coming in through, the ones that are now waking up to that part of themselves, who feel the pain of others when they see and feel that, who understand that the pain that everyone that you witness in one is being witnessed by all who are sensitive around the planet, and that there are about 13 people who are on this planet in India, in China, in parts of the United States, in South America, in Australia, ancient, old, melanated people, about 200 or 300 years old, right now in Africa. 13 of them are scattered around the planet right now and are holding this planet together spiritually. Because if they weren't here, we'd be fucked. This whole place would go up right away. They are grounding out some vicious energies that would have taken people. We would be shooting at one another right now if it wasn't for them. And so a lot of us are elected or selected to be in certain places because your energy in that place helps to equalize or to balance it out. And when your whole chemistry changes from within, you can walk into a room and immediately, I don't care if somebody got murder on their mind, they immediately feel your presence there, and it's changing theirs. You see what I'm saying? That's what you have to become. That's the 13th harmonic. That's when you begin to change the environment by your presence. And when you get that way, the only way you can do that is if the internal environment, which is the chemistry, K-H-E-M-I-S-T-R-Y, which is your melanin, begins to actualize the light and then accrue, that's the word I was looking for, accretion, an accruement of self or personal power in service of others. Yes, brother.
So is that what you meant when you said that they can do it artificially, they can do it mechanically, but they can't do it organically?
No, they can't do it organically. They can accrete. Yeah, the accretion process has to be an organic one for it to be a substantive one. If it is an artificial one, then they serve those entities I told you about that live in the realms outside of us based upon these machines working in a specific way. They have realms that are outside of us, artificial realms, virtual realms that service, that house certain intelligences that are based on electronic forms. There is also a realm that's right above us that houses our thought processes based upon our pain and our suffering. And they instigate us to create pain and suffering so that they can live. That's the only way they feed. They feed from a substance that someone calls loosh. Loosh is almost like an etheric blood that you give off whenever you feel a deep internal pain at someone. Someone hurts you deeply, you get wounded, you give off loosh. And that loosh goes into feeding other entities based on your thought process that you have formed. So now when you begin to go through pain, that's why we're fighting one another, going through all the shit we're going through, because these entities are instigating us to fight one another. And they've already been dealing with the people in the White House and the leaders. They worship these people. They feed these people the loosh based upon sending you to war, having you fight with one another. Your fear feeds them loosh. Yes, brother.
Is loosh like a elemental?
It is part of a quantitative and qualified substance that is part of your individual auric makeup and field. Each person's aura is unique to them, just like their own blood type and fingerprint. Your loosh and the quality of your loosh is based upon the quality of your thought process, who you feel you are personally, and how you react to how other people feel you are. So some people's loosh are more refined, have a more brighter energy when you give it off through the aura. Feel better amongst other people. You can almost touch people's auric field and sample what their loosh is like. You know, energizing just by feeling them. You can even sometimes, if you're sensitive enough, somebody gets close to you enough or shakes your hand, you can taste it in your mouth. That's my problem. You know, that's why I don't like getting close to too many people. You know, start picking up their energies. Yes.
Do they have a camera that can take pictures of war?
Yes, Krillian camera.
And a video camera as well, right?
Well, I'm not sure what the video camera is, and I'll look into it. But they do have technologies that can see your aura. They took a picture of mine at this White Boy Fair festival, and they make a picture of it and you put it on your thing. And white people will follow me around all over the place. No. The cobalt is a finely grained, perfected piece of glass based on a cobalt blue filament. And it's a filament that has certain materials in it. And what it does is it shows who has their auric field still intact. And if it's not intact, it gives up who it is that's a walk-in. Now you know that there's a certain filament of gold that is used in strobe lights in order to get you into a specific mental frame. That gold that is used in the frame, in the strobe and police cars. Notice, remember, police cars back in the 60s used to just flash lights on and off. Now they strobe them. The strobe is to get your mental programming mechanism to start focusing in on your fight or flight mechanism. You stop thinking. So when you see the strobe, you immediately feel fear and anxiety. And the strobe right now is based on a gold type filament that they're using. And it's in a specific electrolysis that creates this kind of gold, and they place it inside of the police's lights, so that when it's given off, it goes directly past your conscious mind and hits the subconscious programming that they've been putting into your brain through the television. Remember, a television isn't just a blank screen, it too is a strobe light. The street signal is also in the light as well. You could see it in the street signals as well, and in the new traffic lights. Yes, brother.
Could you tell us a little bit about what is it, psionics?
Psionics is the use of certain energy fields of the earth to transport signals, mental signals, and other type of organic signals across that band. For instance, if you were in China and I had a witness, maybe your hair sample or a picture of you, and there was a problem with you, I could use light here on your picture. I could use elements on your picture to affect a feeling on you in China.
So you use light on my picture?
Light on your picture. In other words, say the sunlight has 7 bands, and I told you that you're in a light code lockdown.
Right.
Well, at this point, the 7 bands of the white light is your jail cell.
Is your what?
Jail cell. In other words, you know there's bars to a prison? Well, 7 is your bars. And each one starts at red and goes all the way to violet. So those 7 bars constitute the total white spectrum, which becomes the lockdown mechanism for you. Now, what you can do, you can take the sun's light, and I can take a picture of you, and I could shine that through a prism, break and refract the white light into 7 colors, shine it on your picture. When I look at that particular 7-band spectrum on your picture, if there's anything wrong in your body, I can see based upon a distortion of one of those 7 colors. When those 7 colors are out, it means that something is going on in your body that either amplifies that color outside of the range spectrum, of the outside of the oscillating range spectrum, or it completely absorbs it and it doesn't even look like it's there. By knowing which color is off, I know which chakra is off. And then I'll know which particular part of your organs are off. And then I could send an energy through a gemstone, broadcast through a specific light with 7 bands, and project a specific color onto your picture and heal you in China.
That's past, but where I live.
That's magic. That's a form of magic.
It is a form of science, brother. That's all it is. It's science. Since you are light beings, I can heal you with light, and that's what I'm saying. My next book is called Quantum Ascension, the next awareness in health. We are outside of the realm of herbs. It's nice. Thank you very much. You've done your job. We now have to take a whole new way of looking at healing. And your healing has to come from your thinking, because it was your thinking that got you sick in the first place. Yes, sister.
You know, like you were saying with crystal.
Yes.
We used to have crystals, and when the sun come through, I used to look at certain colors and hold them through my eyes like a yellow or green.
Yeah.
And I used to feel.
Yes, you could.
Things.
Yes, sister.
I better stop it.
That's right. That's right. Very good. In fact, if you can, on a good day, early in the morning, try to get as much of your sunlight into your eyes, looking and blinking every now and then, looking and blinking. And towards the end of the day, get the eastern sun and the western sun. And get a little bit of that in your eyes. Yes, brother.
Brother mentioned yesterday about the July 23rd.
Yeah.
Mentioned July 23rd, the vortex within the sun.
Yeah. The Stargate.
The Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something we should do on that day?
Well, on that day, Sirius is high. You can try to communicate with them. What I used to do is the 23rd. What I would suggest that you do is get yourself a nice, beautiful picture of the Sirius star system as close as they can get it. You can get it for yourself. And what I would suggest that you do, you can meditate on that system by putting it up or blowing it up large enough on your wall. And then you can put either magnets at the front part of your head and in the back, switching it to north and south. Or put the magnets in the palm of your hand, soles of your feet. Or take some amplified crystals and put them in the front, the quartz crystals. And you can actually magnetize or amplify your connection to the Sirius star system through what is known as psionic affinity. And information can come to you in the form of dreams after a while. Or you can take the Sirius star system picture and put it under your pillow. Or you can take a small picture of it and put it directly here where your first eye is. There are ways that you can use that. There is a tone that is being emanated that the astronomers know is given off by Sirius star system. There is a note that the Sirius star system gives off based upon a specific harmonic. If you could find that harmonic and then through an analog system make that sound available to your ears while you're meditating on it, you will pick up the quantumized communication of all the life forms on that system. And what you can do then is to then listen in, and through the fact that you have a connection to that Sirius star system, allow the cell's intelligence to start breaking it down for you, and then it may come to you in the form of some kind of dream or some kind of something that comes to you while you're talking to someone. You begin to pick up information from the Sirius star system in that way.
Yesterday you mentioned another tool, the triangle, circle,
Yes,
square.
using the sacred geometry. Yeah, sacred geometry also helps you and prepares you even more to be able to use the way that the light signals would come to you. You see, because they're bouncing. The light signals are actually in the journey, through the journey of light as it gets to us, which takes years. It's actually bouncing from planets to different things. It's even bouncing off, and sometimes there are things crossing across the tract, but it's actually relaying through different forms of vectorized planetary trajectories, and you're getting the information as it is being processed or actually synthesized through other planetary interferences. So you can pick up different forms of information from that one source based on the fact that we are part of Sirius star system.
So how would you go about it? Just have the images?
Yeah, it happens early in the morning. You will see Sirius early in the morning that day. Let's pray it doesn't rain. But early in the morning that day, you will see Sirius leading the way for the sun. Yes, in the eastern sky. In the eastern sky. Hans Peter von Kolvenbach.
So how is it that they receive?
Hans Peter von Kolvenbach.
Saying they're with the church. How is it that they receive the power out of, I guess, those who are
hundreds of years? Yes, they are the Illuminati. In fact, they established it. In fact, the Illuminati was established when a man who was a soldier at that time, who became known as Ignatius Loyola, went to the Pope at that time, and that was the time when the Reformation was very, very strong. The Reformations where the common people were breaking away from the princes and the kings who served this church, after the Constantinian church. And what had happened was the Catholic Church had gone, matter of fact, the Vatican was closed down. They had to move the Vatican. They were so poor, the Catholic Church had been losing so many people that they lost the power that they once had under the Inquisition. What happened after that was this Catholic, who was a warrior in Spain, fighting, doing all his dirty work for the crown and for the church. He was wounded in battle, and when he was wounded in battle, he said, "You know, I'm never going to have a woman," because his wound made him look so deformed. After all the women he had, he knows he wasn't going to have any women anymore. So he began to write the paperwork and the aesthetics of becoming a soldier of Christ. So he wrote the aesthetics that became the actual creed of the Jesuit. The Jesuits were the Order of Jesus. And he took this particular premise and went before the Pope and said, "The Catholic Church has lost its power. Give me the power to bring that power back again." So I don't remember the name of the Pope. Was it Pope Peter, Pope Leo, or Pope well, I'll get the name for you. But he gave Ignatius Loyola a creed, a way to, I don't know, it's a royal thing to act. And the Society of Jesus was born. And from that point, the Society of Jesus' main purpose was to destroy the Reformation. The Society of Jesus' main purpose was to destroy all Reformation. In fact, in their oath, they talk about killing every one of them, stomping them, taking their women, slipping their stomachs open, and destroying the children, crushing the heads of the children. That's what they did over there in that island that sank off of Jamaica. That's what they used to be doing. I forgot the name of the island that they did it in. But the destruction of the Reformational movement was the number one. Port Royal, I think, yeah. But it was destroyed. And ever since then, the Society of Jesus would use, you notice they have no money, they say, but they live like castles and kings. What they do, they used to go to the rich widows and ask the rich widows for their sons to join the Society of Jesus. They were very quiet. Matter of fact, they are so hated by the rest of the Catholic Church that they have become like the CIA or the Gestapo of the Vatican. And they used to be very quiet and secret. They used to serve. They wouldn't ask for no money, but they would get into the higher places of power and begin to orchestrate the mentality of the people there on behalf of the king. And before you knew it, they were in every government on the planet. They began to establish the greatest secret organization besides the one that was established by the Chinese at one time. But besides the one that was actually started by what's his name, Abdullah Sassi, who established the assassins, who actually, the American flag is actually after the ancient order of assassins. The red and white stripes is the ancient order of the assassins. Yeah, Asasi is his name, or Asi. He had a sacred order, and that order was over 300-400 years before the white man came in, and the man named Aladdin was part of that order. Yeah, they were hashish, the smokers of hashish as well. Yes, sister.
The red vestment.
Yeah.
I heard someplace that order, that's why they, on certain occasions, they wear red vestment.
Yeah, that's when they went to war. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the cat and the snake.
Serpent?
Yes.
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 There's a war going on. There's a brother in Washington, D.C. that has a very complete breakdown of that total war. And his name is Brother Hamza. And he breaks that down extremely well. And I would suggest you get his tape. I'll try to get you his number. You can call me and I'll get you the number on it, and he'll break down the secret of the war going on between the serpent and the cat. And if you look at the movie Cats and Dogs, you'll see that war going on as well. If you go on and you look at the movie called what's the other one? There's one that came out where Whoopi Goldberg played like the Pope, but she played actually death or I forgot what she made. I forgot what she called it, but she played the devil. But she was dressed like the Pope. Yeah, I forgot the name of it. Monkey Bone was the name of the movie. Monkey Bone, and on the front of it you see a little monkey with a fez on.
It's true.
Yep. Check it out. Monkey Bone. That's a deep flick. Yeah, it shows all of the dirt that's going on. You know, very quietly inside of the comedy. But the breakdown of the cat and the serpent, you can see that when what's her name, who was initiated into becoming a priestess. What's the name of that little white girl who she pretend like she black? Britney Spears. She did this thing with these African drummers, and she had this huge boa constrictor around her neck.
Oh yeah, on the concert.
Right, the concert she had.
Albino.
Right, it was an albino serpent.
Yeah.
And if you noticed, she had symbols there because right over her head was the symbol of Mut. And nobody saw that in the newspaper, in the Post newspaper. And the cat, if you look at everything, you'll notice that the cat is in everything, and the cat is the bad guy. But the cat is the Moor, because the word Moor comes from Ma'u, which means cat in ancient Kemet. And which is Resh in Hebrew, means head. So the Moor is the cat head. And the cat head god was Sekhmet, Sebek, all of those, the ones with the cat and the lion. That's the whole thing where you look at the face on Mars that I showed you yesterday was a cat head. And Mars is the only planet that this brother was speaking about, Hamza. He said, the only planet that's pluralized is Mars. So it's not named after a plural thing. The word Mars is from Maurs, which means Moors. And if you break the word Mars down and you look at the etymology of the word, or the epistemology of the word, you look at the word Moor, you'll see M-A-U-M-A-R. So the cat head that they're looking at, the face on Mars, is a gigantic statue or carving of a lion's face that directly aligned it a certain period of time, directly aligned with the face of the Sphinx here in Africa. And at that time, everybody used to make their journeys through the Amenti. Yes, brother. Ah, what a wonderful happening. But the brother has the stuff out there. You better get it out of there.
When you were just talking about the spirit thing,
yeah.
You saying that she was doing like a ritualistic thing?
She was doing a ritual in front of everybody.
Okay, now, was that...
If you can get that date, I think she did it on CBS.
No, it was MTV.
MTV?
Yeah.
But it was broadcast too on CBS. Yeah, because I saw the eye.
Now, will that be done with her being used as a pawn or
No, she's willing. She knows. She was given her credentials. She did her thing.
Whoopi Goldberg knew too much.
Oh well, Whoopi Goldberg already sold out a long time ago. Her, Oprah, all of them. They have to in order to get that money.
Well, what does the serpent represent?
The serpent represents wisdom. The Kundalini. Well, there are certain entities that definitely don't have any good for us. There are reptilian energies right now that have been very active in our region because, from what I understand, they are regressive entities. Their soul force energy was very regressive. And those regressive energies were actually cast into third density so that they could work it out in third density. But what they proceeded to do was to conquer everything in third density. And the thing about the reptilians is, like I showed you yesterday, the way that they conquer you is not to force you into submission by leaving a garrison of soldiers. They just take your genetics and change it to theirs. Yes.
Does the RH factor in the blood have anything whatsoever?
That was one of my lectures, and the RH factor is in there. And the RH factor is people with red hair. That's why I keep my hair covered. Part of the reptilian strain is people with red hair. And green eyes.
So the more you have the RH positive.
The more you have the RH positive or the more RH energy, the more you have
reptilian or
more reptilian. The more you have the RH, the more reptilian energies you have. But it depends on how you use it.
So you keep yourself covered up.
That's probably why that's probably why I've gotten out of a lot of shit. Because they recognized who I was. At the airport, that was a given. That was a given right there. I should have been taken away and you didn't hear nothing about Brother Valentine again. Oh, really? Well, I lost my wallet because I put it inside the bin for it to go through, and this woman came shoving her stuff through because she was late, and it must have overturned a little thing in there, and my wallet got stuck inside the conveyor belt. I didn't know that because I was getting pushed through. It was a whole lot of what he called. I picked up my stuff, went over at the gate. But as I was there, I said, oh, I was thinking, and something told me, my spirits told me, my ancestors, whoever said, you don't have your wallet. And I said, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Looked for my wallet, it wasn't there. And I said, oh my God, I sent my wallet back. But if you notice on my ID, I don't have my trade name. I have my ascended name, my chant, my spiritual chant, my sound chant, which is actually the name you see there is a sound current chant that I do. So I went back and I said, I lost my wallet. He says, well, what's your name? I said, my name is Phil Valentine. The only thing I had of my trade name was my passport. So they said, well, wait a minute. This doesn't say Phil Valentine. I got 2 pictures, and that was like right after September 11th. So here I am with my fez in one and nothing on in the other, and I'm looking at this thing, and they're looking at they got 2 guards beside me. And they start, all these people, all airport security start coming. So what I did, I immediately stood up and went into a square. Like that. And I just faced forward. So immediately they saw what I was doing. I just went into stood on the square, and they said, well, what's this? Wait a minute, what has he got? And I said, well, let me help you with, they said, like pit bulls. So I stepped back very easily and went into my square. And they're walking around, one big fat one pulling up his thing off his belt, and all this bullshit. And I'm standing straight ahead, looking ahead. And one of them passed me and said, you in the military? You been in the military? I said, no. And I just kept looking straight ahead. So the guy that was all mad at me, who are you? He looks at it, they go through all of what he called it, and they're looking at it, and they're seeing it, and once they see certain symbols, I was told, immediately things change. And it wasn't the symbols that I had in the, what do you call it? It's the symbols I had in my identification as a Moor from out of a specific symbol. And they have certain symbols under the Islam symbol. The word Islam is written under specific symbols. So immediately I'm standing there, and all of a sudden the same cracker that was going to try to take my head off, tie me and feather me, guy was getting ready to put his hood back on to lynch me, came over to me and whispered in my ear, why'd you bring out both your IDs? What'd you bring out both your IDs for? That was stupid. And he started talking to me like we used to break bread together. So I didn't say nothing. I said, and before I knew it, all the airport people were coming at me. We'll get you right back onto we'll get you right back on the train. No, put you right on another plane. Don't worry about it. Everything is taken care of. Everything is ready and so forth. Is there anything I can get for you? And I'm saying, what the fuck happened? I didn't know what happened. But then I began talking to some of the older people, and they told me that there are certain symbols that people recognize that they immediately don't have any problems with. And they didn't care who you were, they knew who you knew you were. And the fact that you knew who you were, they knew that you weren't a slave, and they knew that they wasn't about to put you in there because that was business. And anytime they started to take you any place, you started the transaction process, and they didn't want to start a transaction process with me. And that's what it did. And that can happen to you. You just deal in knowing how to stand on your square and know that there are certain things that they immediately identify. And you have to keep your head. You have to keep your head. If you don't keep your head, they'll know you perpetrating. But as you see everybody passing me, it's like expected. It's like you stand up in front of me there, everybody was around. And I just stood looking straight ahead. I didn't look nervous and all that. What am I going to do? No, I just stood there, bands were back, locked my thumbs. Like that. Stood on the square. And they thought I was some kind of ex-soldier or something like that. But they knew what I was doing, and I knew what they were doing after they started coming to me. But this cracker whispering that in my ear, I knew he knew what was going on and what time it was. Because he left right after that and gave it to the underlings to take care of. He said, there's nothing, don't worry about it. And one of the big terminals coming, we'll get you right back on the plane and that kind of thing. So I know that it works. And I know maybe I had my red hair and I've done it too. Because they notice certain things.
Is he one of the white knights that you mentioned?
No, but they know who I am. I've been told.
exactly is that standing on the square? Is that standing on truth?
Yeah. In other words, all things happen within a specific bracket. The number 4 is the number of actualization for the third dimension. In other words, the 3 represents the first circuit, which is the pyramid. But on the foundation of life, all things have a foundation upon which they travel or which they are manifested. On the plane of Earth, for that 3-dimensional energy to be manifest, the number 4 or the principle of 4 has to be there. So there are only 4 senses on your body. There's no 5th sense. The harmonic of that 5th sense is sensation. There are 4 senses, and the energy that you perceive based upon you being a conscious being is a sensation. So touch is not a sense. The sense is seeing, smelling, tasting, and hearing. Those are 4 elementals that are conscious. Touch is not conscious. You are conscious. But the 4 senses are conscious of themselves only when this number 4 is manifested within your body. The anchoring 4 principles is in your senses. And these 4 senses are conscious as themselves before they manifest within you to become conscious of themselves. So there are 2 different principles of consciousness. You can be conscious as yourself, just like a fire burning is only conscious that that's what it is. Water in a lake is just conscious as itself because it's just water. These are the 4 basic premises for who you are. But when they become part of the conscious matrix, when they become part of the atomic structure that aligns you to consciousness, then they become conscious of themselves. Now you know what fire feels like in your body when you're doing the sweet thing. That's how fire feels. When you're tasting food, delicious food, you understand how water feels. When you're hearing sweet sound and music, you understand the consciousness of hearing, or what that particular sense is. So each thing is conscious of itself when it becomes part of the consciousness matrix that we call humanity. I hope you understood that one. The 5th element essentially is etheric. That is the medium upon which thought now operates, because now that these 4 aggregate energies comes together, the harmonic is thought, because now together all of your emotions, all your feelings now become a thought registry, and that registered thought signature is a culmination of all 4 of the activities of these things, these elements. Sometimes a thought has 2 or 3 different components. Maybe it has more of fire in it than that, and that's when you start insulting the other elements in your body, because there's too much fire in your thinking, or too much water in your thinking, or too much earth energy in your thinking, or too much air energy in your thinking. You see, and these different categories have different personalities that you manifest, and that's how I can read you just looking at you. Or I can hear a person's voice on the phone and know which one of the elements is being activated by their voice. And that's how you become more, that's psionic, and learning how to adjust yourself to how the 4 elements work. So on the 4 square, they know that you understand how man comes to be, and that all 4 of your senses are triangulated, and you are 4 square and perfect. That's what Masonic law is, to become 4 square and perfect. 4 square means that you have squared all the actions of each of these elements within you, so that the WORD now becomes squared within you, and you stand upon a platform of truth. Wow, everybody just became numb after that one. I told you I want this tape to be good for Kevin. Yes. That's it?
Well,
yeah.
I would like to, I missed a lot of the UCC stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What one thing, I guess, would you recommend, from the point of view of the average person trying to get into this?
Well, like I said, get prepared by going and getting the vault copy of your birth certificate and having. You filed your UCC. All right, see, you already, brother's on it already. You're already filing it. Get the vault copy. They're already pretty much tuned in. Get the vault copy of your birth certificate and another ID, just to know that you're around and that you're actually participating in the system itself. And all the rest of the information I will probably give to Kevin, and only those of you here, and I'll put a list of people that are only here that are going to be part of this thing. And again, it's $750, and there may be other people that files it for cheaper, but I don't know nothing about them, and I don't know how they work. This brother works. So from that point, you could understand that this brother himself works hard at what he does, and he's minimizing it because there's some people I know getting $10,000 for this. There's people getting $10,000 a pop to do this. This white boy was doing it for $10,000 and $20,000, getting people out of the system. So know that this is a benefit. Act upon it by October the 9th, because that's when everything comes crashing down after that point. In fact, I predict the stock market may fall to about 4,000 before everything starts to really bottom out. Yes, brother.
The issue nation for the life of NATO.
Excuse me?
The life international.
No, that's the UN, United Nations.
United Nations.
Yes. Yeah. And you just got to use, just to navigate, to do what you're doing. You just use it to navigate. I'm doing consultations immediately after this for a short period of time. Anyone who wishes to do that, they can see me at the end, and then we can do in order what it's going to be about. You need to have a cassette of a 90-minute cassette or a 60-minute cassette, and it's 30 minutes to 45 minutes if we want to extend it. And we can do a consultation after this. But if you want to do the UCC 1, I suggest that you make a copy. We make a copy right now. Get a piece of paper, and you sign your name on the UCC that will be for the UCC 1. And these names are the only names that are going to be the ones that I'm going to accept. Because the only people who came here are the real people. Y'all show that yesterday was no fluke, and that you all weren't just playing around, and that there is a serious base for the application as well as assimilation of the higher knowledge that's coming from the other time. This knowledge does not belong in this time. That's why I say you cannot use the old things with the new. Everything you do has to change now. Your thinking, the way you act, who you speak to, what you speak when you do speak to these people, how you feel with certain people, if you feel a certain way with a certain person, don't be with that person anymore. You have to disengage yourself from people who have been taxing your personal power. Yes. You must now jettison all your baggage. You cannot be around people who leak energies and sap yours at the same time. There are certain people who eat a certain way, act a certain way, become a certain way, and then invariably make you feel a certain way by the time they get that way. There are certain people who call you on the phone and then systematically begin to drain you of your energy from the other end. You must cut those ties. You must now be very circumspect about who you share your energy with, sexually, verbally, interaction-wise. All of that is very important because, again, I tell people, I don't live today. I'm just visiting here from another tomorrow. And that other tomorrow doesn't exist today, but we are slowly but surely trying to get the mental alignment for many people, just 144,000, to see the vision of what it looks like. Because once we have a collective vision of that moment, then the is takes over, and the was forever will be was. You see, because right now we are walking the borders of the was and the is, and that was and that is energy is colliding with each other right now. And I'm trying my best to keep that, my centrifugal, centripetal, my circumnavigatory energies, I'm trying to localize them in the is, in the isness of being. That's what you want to do. You want to be in the isness of being, which is a whole other way of thinking. a whole nother way of doing, a whole nother way of being. Get out of the doing. It's time for you to start becoming more alert to the doer that you have become. You have become a doer and lost your being. All the things that you do now catalog and have become your being. So you must go home now and make a catalog. Take an inventory of all the thoughts that have been cataloged by your doing. Because your doing now has become the reflection of your being. Everything you have done has become the catalog that now has become the inspiration for all the being that you have become. So now you have to start taking a catalog and an inventory of all the doing that you've done and see how locked into doing you've become. How much doing is being done to the being that you used to be. And now you switch place. Everybody sees the doer. That's why I was saying there are 12 stages of reality. And that unreal real, or that edited real, when you got to see somebody you don't like and then switch the faces to become something else so that you could actually live in that moment, that shit is over. Stop that, that confusion you keep making of yourselves. You are using your ability to switch paradigms in a very low manner when you're doing that. Don't you understand? You are using the ability to switch paradigms and switch realities to change certain chemical workings in the brain that give you other kind of light entities so that you could talk to somebody you don't like. Instead of now switching that energy into a whole nother way of thinking so you could call in more higher light forms and talk to people on other realms where you don't have to be phony. You see, no more talking like that anymore. That's why I can't forward certain kinds of energies about me that's out there. There's people hate my ass. And I just say, okay, that's your loss. Because you're the one leaking energy on that bullshit. And I'm not leaking energy anymore. I stopped leaking energy 10 years ago. Everything is about love. Yes. Everything is about the ush vibration. Universal synergistic harmony. Universal synergistic harmonic. I'm going to try to get to that 13th. That's what the 13th is. The universal synergistic harmony. And once I start working on that, shit, I ain't got to come back here no more. I'm done with this particular experiment. I'm out of this laboratory. I'm tired of it. And I got to go to something else. I want to be reassigned. I already talked to the superiors. Reassign me. I'm tired of this flesh agreement. Yeah. This molecular agreement called the human body. I'm tired of it. Give me a whole other agreement to sign. I want a whole other agreement of perception. Because all this is an agreement. Yes. I've broken the agreement. I've even dealt with all the small print on the contract. I've done it all. I said that's enough. I'm here serving the best I can and enjoying myself. I ain't afraid to talk about that. I have had my share of money. I'm rich. Then I went into complete poverty. Enjoyed that more than when I had money. Because I met more people that had substance. I've had my share of women. Loved them all. I consider every one of them my wives. All of them. And I've had my worst times with them. And still love them. I've had friends that are now boiled down to maybe about 4 or 5 in my whole life. Because the ones I thought my friends weren't my friends. And the ones that didn't seem like they could be my friends ended up being my friends. So I started opening myself up and saying, listen, I don't know shit. I don't know shit. Listen, just guide me, okay, you let me know. And people do shit to me, say, well, how you gonna let that person take that money from you? Oh man, did you know what they just did? I said, yeah, it's all right, it's fine. I'm all right. I said, I used to write songs so deep, they used to find my tapes in the Isley Brothers garbage cans. Right. They used to find my shit in all these people's shit, and I'm saying, well, don't you man, what you get? I don't care. Well, what about all of this stuff that you had with the books that you wrote and all the shit that you wrote for other people? That they used to say, well, what do you think about this? And you used to write their books for them. Case in point, Heal Thyself. Well, what are you going to do about that, man, that you pissed off? What for? People are benefiting from it, check, yes. Well, wait a minute, so what? I can never run out of ideas.
Yes.
Never. I'm a font for ideas. Somebody come to me, tell me what it is that they need, that they're getting ready to do. I can tell them all the shit that they need to do. Well, why don't you become a consultant? I am a consultant. But they don't understand. But then, you know, there's people over there making big money. I'm not saying those people are so fucking limited by their jobs. I don't have a job. I don't want a job. Just over broke. I don't want nothing like that. I want to serve. And the more I serve, the more I am served. The damn bird don't need a job. And they're living pretty damn good. Better than me, they can fly too. I don't need to deal with that situation, and it took some time. It took me to do certain things to get to that point. But the more I live, the longer I live, the more I find out that this whole thing that we have structured as the agreement to live with one another is bullshit. Yeah. It can change at any time, and it changes here first. And when it changes here, it changes everywhere. Because all you need is one person with an idea, and then everybody follows with it. Yeah. We get an idea, then fine. If everybody want to be Christ, then fine. I have one tape in here that I've had where I did with this guy Winston Gilchrist, and he has a little show. He's a Christian, and he loves being a Christian. And I love telling him, man, you a jackass. But he loves me telling him he's a jackass. So we have this ongoing discussion every time we get on his show, his cable show. I keep just beating him to death with the information, but he loves it. And so there's that synergy. I've come to actually tolerate a Christian. Now that's a big step for me, because you can't speak to none of them nut motherfuckers. They are gone. Christians are completely gone. They have no sense of self, period. So the time when somebody comes to what is that again? Minister to me and talk to me, you know, okay, that's it. You know, I don't want to be bothered. Like I told the story about the Jehovah's Witnesses, the J-Wits coming to see me. Kept coming to see me, waking me the hell up. So I said, listen, y'all got to stop coming. They didn't want to stop coming. So I said, well, fuck it. Next time they rang, I had something for them. Next time they rang, I came to the door butt naked. Now you can imagine holier than thou rollers with me in the breeze, standing there looking at them. And it was like the younger ones, and they, oh, like my God, the older ones were across the street. I said, I told y'all motherfuckers don't come back. So the next time I got a doorbell ring, it was the older ones, and they came to pray for me. So I stood in the door naked, and I said, you know what? Y'all sick. Y'all sick, because I don't need us. Y'all with the demons. Y'all keep coming back like a rash. And y'all keep bothering me. Stop bothering me. They didn't bother me after that for a while. And when I saw them on the street again, you know, the older woman, the woman that was there, she was smiling at me. And she smiled, and then we became kind of friends, because she would come, and after I would drop the science of her book, and she ran out of the shit that they told her to tell me, yeah, I didn't see her with the pack no more. Because she started going investigating some of the shit I was saying. It was like, oh shit, you mean a Mason started my order? Yes, 33rd degree. Oh my God, and I gave her all the information to look at. I saw the amount of them was moving. They just left my house alone. Back in New York, we used to raise heaven on them. We had nothing but these Jews all around us. And I used to have the brothers with the drums and the African stilt walkers walking up and down the street celebrating up until 3 in the morning. We used to drive them crazy. And for 7 years of the gathering of the masters, we drove them nuts. And the thing is, we had white, black, brown, everybody from every hue. We had Native Americans coming with full head dresses up in that little house. House just maybe damn as big as this, with a little couple of rooms up there. And upstairs we had monitors in the backyard, in the front. Cars would be double parked 3 and 4 blocks up and down. Police would come by and say, what the hell's going on here? We said church. And when they would look at church, we see Winnebagos and whose vans. White people coming up with red, white, and blue with the, what do you call it, with they spurs on and shit. And Native Americans coming in, and Islam coming in, and Christians coming in, and people who did time travel coming in there. All kind of shit was in my house. So man, I ain't worried about nothing, man. I've met everybody that I need to meet in this time cycle, and if I meet more people and I'm graced and blessed to keep my assignment until a later year, then I'm gonna keep on doing this shit. I don't care if I get money handed to me hand over fist. And that's how you got to get. None of this shit's got to mean anything anymore to the level that they want you to think that it should mean something to you. Any more questions? I guess I done saturated and browbeated y'all and knocked y'all in the head, right? No more spiritual questions, no more metaphysical questions, huh? Y'all don't run out of questions. Yes, Queen.
What about meditation? I heard you talk about the Zen meditation.
Yes.
Well, you know, I was doing the Shepard's Tahuti meditation.
I remember.
But now it's like, I don't know, because I was doing some Hebrew Israelites checking out their thing, but now
yes.
I don't know what meditation, you know, I don't know where to go from here.
Okay, meditation, can we just use, let's use the word and first break the word down. Because there's so many different forms of meditation, and there are different techniques, and most of them are actually to trick you into finding the self that brings you the peace. It's not to bring you there, so for discovering it, it's for you to actually ambush your peace.
Yeah.
If you notice what I mean? A technique, anytime you put a technique between you and your spirit, then you are adding to your conflict.
Thank you.
You see, because now the technique becomes the second hand Ochimi, or your solicitor, your lawyer for your case. The trick is, in meditation, to not resist. See, the physical body, is in resistance to the call of the all. The only way physicality can happen is if the Most High stepped away from itself. Because if the Most High is all in all, then nothing could exist as we are in imperfection. You see? So here goes some more metaphysics. There is perfection, but what is perfection except static non-movement? So true perfection has to somehow find a way to move that perfection forward and understand that perfection, static, is death. Any static action creates death, and that's what your thought process has become. A static, let me see the right word now, hold on. It has become a static containment, wherein inside of that containment you are given certain properties, certain actions and reactions to define yourself by. When you wish to find out what it is that it is like beyond the envelope that you are in, you are met with all forms of resistance. And that resistance is what you are actually putting up to the outer influence of the Creator so that you may exist. If you did not resist the Creator, you could not exist, because you would then become part of the all in all. So it is in your resistance that in this quantified state of self-consciousness, individual self-consciousness, you have now created an envelope of ignorance in order for you to find out who the creator is in microcosm. In so doing, you now try, because of the fact that you are ignorant, and ignorance is a part of the creator's whole manifest, because of that ignorance, which is the resistance to the creator, you now have to find out what it is to go beyond the envelope of ignorance, to find out who you are outside of this shell that was created. The way to find out who the macrocosm is to investigate the microcosm. Think atomic and you think macromic. Now, that's a reverse in consciousness. The problem with meditation today is they create another form of ignorance and resistance in the form of chants, in the form of certain things to trick the brain to moving to another space. The brain is already operating in another space and has the potential to switch its attention. The trick is attention. You have been taught to pay attention to the present manifold of consciousness that has been given to you. The trick is that you now believe that this is all you are and all there is. The brain knows different, but you, based on the fact that you perceive on this lower realm, keep telling the brain this is all there is, but the brain keeps telling you in your dreams, no, this is not all there is. How do you get that state to become a state interfaced with the state that you're in? The first thing is to understand that you are in a place where you are constantly in resistance, even to yourself. When you meditate, or as the Rastas say, iditate, when you switch the attention, you begin to understand that anything put in place would be another form of resistance. So a chant becomes a form of resistance. The trick is to melt away all of the programmed automatic responses that your ignorance gives you to the unknown. All of the defenses that you put up to guard yourself, to protect yourself against something that you believe could kill the body. Because right now, the thing that rules you is your somatic cell consciousness. If you get my tape called Somatic Death, you'd understand what I mean by somatic consciousness. The cells have been taught that you are vulnerable and that anything you do could kill you. You could be hurt, you could be this, you could be that. So you are constantly in fear of the physical form because the physical form has trained you to constantly be fearful because it could go. But the spirit within you is everlasting. The spirit within you is forever. The flesh fears that, because if it allows the spirit to take over, the flesh no longer means nothing, and that consciousness now is under control. The ego comes under control. All the things that flesh is heir to, all the things, the lusts, the cravings, the appetites, that now comes under the subservience of the spirit. To do that, you must now recognize all the resistance to the spirit that the flesh has put up to sidetrack you from finding the spirit within you. And meditation is one way to trick yourself into using your chemistry to give you a sense. That's what the body does, to give you chemical mixtures, to give you a sense of euphoria, to make you believe that you're in the spirit, and it isn't.